What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Spectators. My name is Julian, and I am here with Brooklyn. Happy Monday, February 13th. I hope you had a great Super Bowl weekend. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day, so make sure you're giving out the roses to everybody. Just telling everybody you love
Mhm.
them. And we had a great weekend over here at The Spectators. We had our
Man,
first ever in person event for the lovers and art show that we threw. And to say it was a success would be kind of an understatement and an undertonement of how the night went and how everything kind of went. So thank you everybody that came out to that. We very much appreciate y'all.
it
And
was a beautiful night.
yeah,
Absolutely beautiful night. And again, shout out to everybody who came because it was so special seeing everybody and the support. We felt it. We definitely did.
yeah,
And it was amazing. So thank you.
yeah, it was a great one, and we got a lot of pretty positive feedback from it too. So a lot of good stuff happening over this weekend, including one of the best sporting events of the year, the Super Bowl. We had Super Bowl 57, and we had the Chiefs. We had the Eagles, two teams that have been to the Super Bowl pretty recently. I mean, it's been about 5 years or 5 or 6 years for the Eagles, and the Chiefs have been here three of the last four, so they've been kind of mainstays lately. Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. There was a lot of hype in this game because the offenses have been so great all year. The Eagles were scoring every first drive of every game, and they didn't trail at all in the playoffs. Neither team trailed at any point during the playoffs before this game. Neither of these
Insane.
teams. And
Absolutely
so,
insane.
there was a lot of hype. They were both the one seeds, both 14-3, both had Kelsey brothers. There's a lot of similarities between these squads. And it was kind of nice to see the similarities get broken up towards the end. And it took a last minute field goal to even differentiate them. So it was an amazing game. And we're going to get you some winners and losers that we felt happened in the game. Brooke, do you have one to start us off with?
I mean, let's go right back to the Kelsey brothers and the Kelsey family because not only do you have two brothers playing against each other in the Super Bowl, you got two brothers playing against each other in the Super Bowl at a elite
Yeah.
level. Travis was going crazy, doing what Travis does, just getting the ball, doing the stankiest of stanky
That
legs.
was
Got the
elite.
ref
That
looking
was
at him,
elite.
waiting to throw the
That was
flag.
elite.
Pat sitting there. You got Jason just dogging people on the line with those QB sneaks that Jalen was able to
They
run
ran
about
like
like
five of them, dude. It was
it was
crazy.
insane. So big shout out to both of them for doing their thing. I know seeing their mom after the game, she was like, it's bittersweet. I wish they both could have won, and it was cool. It was definitely a really cool moment for them. So shout out.
Yeah, and like you said, Jason Kelsey is probably the most known offensive lineman. Whether it's because of his brother, whether it's because of the podcast, whether it's because he's just a dog, whatever reason it is, because all three are kind of true. Um, he's one of the more known guys, and he's fantastic at his job. He's undersized, he's super athletic, and he is just one of the best. So, shout out
Number one
again.
sports podcast, by the way, too. So
They
shout
are
out
right
New
now.
Heights.
Yeah, they're awesome. The Kelsey guys are awesome. So that definitely
They are.
tracks. That definitely tracks. My winner for this week is, or for the Super Bowl, is one of the guys on a losing team. But if you've ever had any doubts, any questions, any concerns about Jalen Hurts, just put him away. Jalen Hurts was absolutely the best player in this Super Bowl, and Patrick Mahomes was the other quarterback he faced, and Jalen Hurts was
Mhm.
better. He was better. He was more impactful. He was making more plays on his own. And whenever the bell and the call needed him the most, he was there. He made that amazing throw to Goddard. That was the best throw of the game. He had that deep ball to Devontae. He had a deep ball to A.J. Brown. He had a couple of runs that were going for 10, 15 yards. He broke off that one play, and I know you remember this too, where he should have been sacked by Frank Clark. And he turns
Oh man.
around and goes out of the pocket, rolls out of it to his left, and winds up making a throw completion. And it was like 3rd and 12. They got a first down. And it's like, oh my God, dude, this is so frustrating. Like, how are you supposed to stop this guy? He looked poised, he looked calm, he looked collected. Obviously, he did have that fumble. That was just kind of
That
a
fumble hurt.
that was kind of just a weird thing. Switching hands just fell out. He did not switch hands after that.
No, we were clowning him after
Yeah,
because
he did
every
not.
time he would run the ball, no matter which way he was running, it was
Yeah.
staying nice and tight on that left side. He was not switching it at all. So
Yeah, and on a night where the Eagles, who are the best running team in football, have their two primary runners, not named Jalen Hurts, run for 21 and 16 yards, which is not going to get it done. It's just not. Jalen runs for 70. He has 3 touchdowns on the ground, one in the air, over 300 yards in the air. He threw for well over 50%. This guy was fantastic. Is he a top 10 quarterback? Absolutely. If you don't think so, go kick a rock, go bite a shoe. I don't care. He was fantastic this year. He's gotten better every single year. If he gets better at the same amount that he has in the last 2 years, he might be better than Mahomes next year. He's not going to get that much better. Like, there's only so much more. It gets diminishing returns at some point. But I mean, if percentage wise it's the same, he's going to be the best quarterback we've ever seen. But
he will keep on moving up that ladder on the QB chain and will
yeah,
be a top 3, top 5 quarterback in this league. So shout out Jalen because his progression, like you said, it's ridiculous and it's going to keep on getting better. No doubt about that. Like
yeah.
you see the kid, and it's just like, oh yeah, he's him.
It's
He's him.
it's
He's
gonna be one of those things too where you're gonna look at it. You're gonna be like, man, you'll be looking at like Jalen and Lamar and Herbert and Burrow as those kind of like 4 through 7 guys and whoever else you might have in that mix. And you're just like, all right, who's better? You're like, well, Burrow and Herbert are better players, but like there will be a point after another season or two, and Philly keeps winning, and it's just like, oh man, like that's a conversation we'll have at another time. But I'm super happy for him. He's a great dude from everything we've seen. He is the box of quotes. If you guys want an inspirational quote or a
him.
quote to make something sound better than it was, he's the guy. Just go watch an interview of his, and he probably got one for you. So shout out to him. He's my winner for this week, or one of them.
Not mad at that. Shout out to Nick Sirianni. I'm gonna give him a winner for this week because he let them hang this game. And shout out to the Eagles all season. They've been one of the top offenses, so there's no surprise.
Yeah,
But you have all these third down plays that they were just going for ballsy plays, fourth down plays, converting. They were 2 for 2 on fourth downs. These QB sneaks out of nowhere, going for it on uh on a weird spot on the field. Just all these play calls that Sirianni was um letting go for the Eagles was just like he wanted it. He wanted it. And there was times that we were watching the game last night, me and Julian, we were like, oh, they were just playing Madden out there.
yeah.
Like
It felt like a
they're
Madden game.
not punting the ball, they're just going for it.
Yeah,
And it was sick. It was sick to see that like on the biggest stage, you're not gonna fall back and play conservative. Like you're gonna go for it and you want it all. And shout out Sirianni. Like he's a dog. He's a big factor to why this Eagle team is the way they are, as
yeah.
talented as they are. Sirianni has done a great job with this team, so you got to give a winner to that.
See, and you know what's funny? My loser is Sirianni.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think Sirianni is great. I think he had a fantastic season. I think he got robbed of Coach of the Year. I don't know how
mm,
Brian Dable wins it over him when Sirianni lost 3 games the regular season, and 2 of them were because Jalen Hurts didn't play. Kind of weird.
storylines.
Yeah,
Mm.
very odd, very strange. Like they decimated the Giants twice, but the Giants, whatever, doesn't matter. 3 times if you count the playoffs. Like, come on. So
Yeah.
shout out to Brian Dable. He's awesome. But Sirianni was the coach of the year, in my opinion. I don't think it was even really close. And he kind of let this team down in the second half. They had a 10-point lead going into the half. They outplayed the Chiefs, and outside of a fumble, like they might have had a bigger lead than the 10 they came into the half with. And obviously that doesn't count because they had a 10-point lead. Whatever. Ifs, ands, buts, who cares? But they come into the half, 10-point lead, and then they do not stop the Chiefs a single time in the second half. If you're gonna win a football game and you don't let this team punt once in the second half, you are not going to win. If you're gonna give
No.
up 24 points in the third and fourth quarter, you are not going to win. 24 points, 17 in the fourth quarter. You let Patrick Mahomes run, cook all over you. That man had a bum ankle 3 times over. His ankle's gotten hurt or re-injured or re-aggravated every single game of these playoffs, including in the first half. And there was a run play that Mahomes had for like 27 yards. And you're like, man, like, what are you going to do? And you know where it really gets me with the coaching mistakes?
Mm.
The Eagles get so set in their ways. And they're like, man, we're just going to rush 4. We're going to rush 4 because we have the best D-line in football. How many times did they get to Patrick Mahomes last night?
Not a lot. Let's
Not
see
a
the
single
actual.
sack.
Yeah,
Not a
yeah,
single sack to Patrick Mahomes last night. On a hobbled leg. You have
yeah. I was mostly trying to see at least like QB
QB
pressures because
pressures.
yeah,
That's
I know they
not.
were in.
I don't know where to find that, truthfully.
They got like something, but keep going while I look for it.
I'm gonna look it up with you. We gotta get all
Yeah,
this, but they didn't get to Mahomes very often,
no.
and so they continued to just try and dial up four man pressure. They're trying to get to Mahomes, and guess what's happening throughout the game? Travis Kelce's wide open. Juju Smith-Schuster on like the last drive of the game was just wide open the whole drive. Pacheco was running all over them because they couldn't stop the run for some reason, even though the Eagles are a great run defense team.
Shout
Okay.
out to Pacheco also. That boy was doing his thing.
Yeah, he had a really, really good game. I didn't like the adjustments that the Eagles made because I don't think there were any. I think there was like, oh, well, we're doing great. Let's keep that up. And it didn't work. And that's on Sirianni at the end of the day. I didn't love it. I think the defense let them down in the second half. And you can't give up 24 in the second half and expect to win. Just can't do it.
Yeah, and the thing is with Sirianni, there was a decent amount of stuff that just happened on the field, whether it was like coverage breakdown or just losing your man or just missing a tackle, stuff like that. So like, I'm not going to put every little bit of it on Sirianni, but I do agree with you.
No.
Do agree with you that the adjustments and everything were not there. But you look on the other side of it on Andy Reid, that boy, that boy was cooking,
Listen.
and that boy was making the adjustments and doing what
Listen.
he needed to do. Mm.
Listen.
And Andy Reid
Yeah, bro.
is
He's one of the
there's
best
not
ever.
yeah
Ever.
as simple as that. Like it's hard to really put it into words. Like he is one of the greatest coaches in NFL history.
Yeah.
What he used to do with the Eagles, amazing. They never won.
Made it to a
Tough.
Super Bowl, though.
Made it to the Super Bowl. Now, what he's done with the Chiefs, that's something special in itself. And there was a couple plays in the second half where they get the touchdown on a wild drawn up play, and then they just flip it. And they do the same play, and they score again.
And that's part of like the Sirianni stuff I'm talking about too. Like
Yeah,
they run that play, and it was a really well designed play, right? They have on the first one, it was I'm trying to remember who it was on the
Kadarius,
outside. Was
Kadarius
it
Tony.
Kadarius? It was Kadarius, and they have
Yeah,
him motion in behind Travis Kelce, and then he pauses. They snap the ball. He fakes in, and after the motion, his in man coverage at like the 5 yard line, his DB just ooh that brother floating in the air and just floats into the back of the end zone, thinking that he was motioning
yeah.
all the way, just lost them, and
Because
it
he
was the
ran full speed, like he was about to go motion
yeah
on the other side of the field. So like, of course you're gonna be like, okay, bounce, everybody, bump over. But like you got to keep your landmark and stay on your guy because damn,
yeah it
he
was
didn't even
bad.
look at him run
No,
back.
no, and that touchdown was just a catch, and he just walked in. And then the next time down the field, it's the same play. And we said this again, referring to Madden. They hit the R2 button, flip the play instead of Tony. Now it's was it Sky Moore? It
Sky
was
Moore.
Sky Moore, which I can't believe he was involved in this game. Same exact play, same exact result, just wide open, not even a contest. The end zone is supposed to be the hardest place to move the ball, and they had the 2 easiest plays of the entire day to score touchdowns. the entire day. Fucking 1st and 10 at your own 25 was more difficult than that.
To two of the easiest plays, maybe in Super Bowl history. Though
It
those
was
are just
yeah. There's gimmies. There's just gimmies.
yeah, they're ridiculous.
Yeah, and I do want to say shout out to the Chiefs O line, a minor winner. We'll say a major winner. Again, they didn't give up any sacks to one of the best D lines in history. They had a third most sacks in a single season of all time. This Eagles front, third most of all time. They didn't give up a single sack. Look back at the last
Amazing.
Super Bowl against the Bucks that the Chiefs were in. Why did they lose that game? Patrick Mahomes was running for his life. He got sacked a million times. He was running for his life. And if you remember that game, in that Chiefs game, you're going to remember Patrick Mahomes making insane plays that didn't get finished, right? He was running, side arming, getting balls right to people's hands, dropping them all game long. That didn't really happen in this game. There weren't like
No.
really any Mahomesian moments in this game besides like the Travis Kelsey catch in the middle of the field where like Mahomes ran out the pocket and he like was about to fall, kind of sidearm shuttles it. Kelsey is a low pass. Kelsey somehow brings it in. That was like a whoa. There goes Patty. There goes that man. But outside of that, there weren't like a whole lot of Mahomes moments, and it was because
Yeah,
he had
like
time.
there's a lot of yeah, and the only like Mahomes stuff that happened was he was just getting the ball out incredibly fast on a lot of plays where like the Eagles didn't even have a chance to get to him. So that was a big factor as well. And shout out to Mahomes, and this is a knock on not really the O line but the center. There were so many low snaps that I was really worried that there was going to be one that Mahomes was not going to be able to pick up
Yeah,
and make something happen with. I was genuinely worried. So shout out to Mahomes for being able to reach down deep and snag it off
grabbed
the
them.
floor because
Yeah,
it could have been bad.
yeah.
It could have been very bad, and then he would have had to do something Mahomesian, and it,
No,
mm-mm,
happy he didn't have to. One of the
absolutely.
biggest losers that we need to talk about is this project of a grass that we've heard all about for a couple of years now. They get us this Arizona grown sod produced on a farm strictly for the NFL. If you guys know anything about the Cardinals Stadium, too, they have their grass is essentially able to get brought out on a tray, like a big football sized tray. So the grass can come out of the stadium, grow with the sun, be outside, not be in the dome, right? And then they can bring it back in because it is real grass. It's not turf in there. And so they grow this grass specifically for the Super Bowl, and that they're hoping to use this for the rest of time after. It's very specifically grown and bred to be this football turf. And it was like stealing some of the luster of this game.
It was
Because whether it was just the grass, which I do think it was, or if it was the paint and the grass combination, which a lot of the slipping was on the logos. So it could have been both. It could have just been one. But a perfect example is when the Philly kicker, after a score, goes to kick the ball off. He puts his plant foot down and it just gives out underneath him. And they're wearing cleats. The whole point of a cleat is to keep your foot in the ground. That's the whole point. And the Eagles wound up switching cleats like a couple of times throughout the game just to try and get some grip. And the Chiefs guys did not. Maybe that was part of the reason they lost. I don't know. They just stuck with their cleats. But there's people slipping pretty much every drive, at least once or twice, whether it's offensive or defensive. There was a couple plays that could have been busted open even more than they were if
yeah.
people didn't slip. There were catches that could have been made if people didn't slip. Tackles that could have been made if people didn't slip. It was like really jarring and
It
disappointing.
was scary too.
It was definitely scary and it was disappointing to see on such a big stage. We have this unusable turf. And after the game, I forgot who they interviewed from the Eagles, but he said that's the worst field I've ever played on. That,
Yeah.
and I don't disagree. It's probably worse than your random high school field.
What I don't understand is okay, you want to try out a new field. Cool. Why are we trying it out on the biggest stage of the year? Why are we trying it out on the Super Bowl?
Well, I don't
Why
mind. I
not?
don't even mind debuting it for the Super Bowl. But how has it not been tested? How has it not had some people run across it do a
but that's the
simulated
thing.
game. Like, how is that? It doesn't need to be used in games before. It just needs to be used in practice in some capacity before. And clearly, it wasn't because
I don't know. The field is literally the biggest part of the game when you look at it. There's no game if you don't have a field. If the field is dog water, the game's going to be terrible.
yeah,
So like don't debut it on that stage. Make sure you know this field is top-notch professional up to league standards that nothing's going to happen. Make sure use it all year. Even if you give one team give
the
it to the
Cardinals,
Cardinals,
the
since
Cardinals.
you let them play on it all year. But no, you bring it and you put it in 2 weeks before the game, and then it's just a slip and slide out there, and it's like, come on.
Yeah,
So I don't like it.
yeah, it was definitely a big detractor from what was otherwise a great game, and obviously both teams had to play with it, so it's not like it was. It is what it is, but there are definitely some plays that could have been made, plays that wouldn't have been made had this field been the Minnesota turf or whatever. I know turf isn't great. We've talked about fields way too much in this podcast this year too, with
We
all the
have.
injuries happening and over in New York and some of the other stadiums that use that really cruddy turf that just seems to breed injuries. But
Yeah.
nobody got seriously hurt in this game.
Thank
So
God.
that's a great
Yeah.
blessing. Nobody at all besides Mahomes and his ankle, but he just got right back up. There was like 3 or 4 times we thought that Devontae Smith was gonna
Devontae
like
Smith.
explode because he's 80 pounds soaking wet. Like
Yeah.
he's a scary guy to see get tackled. But nobody got hurt in this game, so that's a huge W. It was an amazing, amazing, amazing game. And realistically, outside of like the NFL's catch rules still being terrible, did Dez catch it? I don't know. The catch rules are horrible, right? There was the play where Dallas Goedert caught the ball. They call it a catch. They go to replay. He bobbles it, but still gets his second foot down. And then it's a catch, right? But that was just 2 feet. There was no football move. It was just 2 feet.
And that's as he was going out of bounds.
And that's how he was going out of bounds. Then there's the play where they throw like a screen to, I forget who.
Was it Boston Scott?
I think it was Boston
Maybe.
Scott. I think it was Boston Scott. It was one of the backs. It was Boston
Yeah.
Scott or Gainwell. And they light him up. He takes 2 steps. He catches the ball. They light him up. He loses the ball. Winds up getting picked up. Scoop and score touchdown. They don't call it that. Well, on the field they do. They reverse it. They call it incomplete. And it's like, why is a catch? And I know it's in the rules. And by the rule standards, they actually called this great. So shout out. But why in
Yeah.
the rules are there two different instances, depending on where you are on the field, that quantify a catch? Why is it if I'm going out of bounds, it's 2 steps, but if I'm inbounds, it's 2 steps and a football move and time of possession? Like, these don't make sense. They're not cohesive in any means because why does the positioning in the field matter? Right?
It's weird. It's
It
definitely
doesn't. It
weird.
doesn't make sense.
No, I saw off the one of the guys from the Stay Hot Pod. He was talking about this, and it's weird because it shouldn't matter where you are. It should be the same rule all the way through. And again, yeah, according to the rules, they got it right. I don't care though. I don't. I don't care.
We do not care.
No, because he took the two. You want him to take the 2 steps. Got it. Cool. But he didn't make the football move. But he didn't have to make the football move over here, but he has to make it over here because he's not over there on the field, but he's on this side of the field. It's stupid.
It's so
It's
dumb.
stupid.
It's so dumb.
So they really have to do something because there's always every couple of years
always
something going on with the catch. There's something going on. So it's like just figure something
make
out
a
where
uniform rule.
you have possession, you get the 2 feet down, you control it to the ground if you get tackled and it doesn't get loose, You do all that, it's a catch.
Yeah. I always thought the football move part was weird because that's so subjective. That's not even like a thing you could be like, that's a football move right there, right there. Like, what's a
Because
football move? Is it trying to
turning
juke
around,
somebody? Is it trying to take a step? Is it turning? Is it planting?
it's literally just turning upfield and trying to run, trying to make a cut, anything like that. But like,
What again? What
what
quantifies that in a replay?
exactly?
Nothing.
Exactly.
So
So
it's a subjective thing for a rule that should be pretty objective, and that's not great.
yeah,
I mean, that's a lot of football, to be fair. And like the big one that everybody's gonna look at is the holding at the end of the game, which does it really impact the game? Probably not. The Eagles get the ball back with a minute, I guess, so maybe they can run down the field with no
it
timeouts.
probably impacts momentum more than anything. But
Maybe.
he literally grabbed him twice.
Yeah.
He grabbed the jersey and then he grabbed his hip. I think the ref started throwing the flag at the
At the
first initial
initial.
grab.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people are looking at the second one because that's when the flag was actually thrown. So now the second one didn't look that bad. I'll give
No.
you that.
No, it didn't.
But he was definitely grabbed by his jersey. He got tugged on in the beginning. And I know with the NFL, you're given that like 5 yards, but it,
I've been a big I've
it's
been a really
tough.
big believer in this for a while where you'll go on Twitter, and if you're on Twitter during this part of the game, you'll know. And I had actually had a problem with LeBron about this. I feel like Skip Bayless bringing LeBron involved, but like
I
he like LeBron
was about
tweeted
LeBron.
like, I hate that call at the end of the game, let them play. And it's like, LeBron, 3 weeks ago you were slamming the floor like the Hulk, like upset because you didn't get a foul called against you by Jason Tatum slapping your wrist. Why didn't they call that at the end of the game? They didn't want to impact the effect or like the outcome of the game by putting the game in their hands and calling it, right? Why is it that people and refs and players want officials to not exist in the waning minutes of the game? It doesn't necessarily make sense to me. Do we want to just play the last 2 minutes of football without a referee? Do we just want them to take their whistles off and just make sure they're in bounds in the touchdown? Like, is that all we want from them in the last 2 minutes? We just want them to let them play? No, we want them to officiate the game from the initial whistle to the final whistle. And if that's the way we're going to do this, which is the way it should be, that is a hold. And maybe it doesn't get called a majority of the time. It probably happens every other play. And that's
There's
the
holding
issue.
on every play.
And that's the issue with the NFL and
Every play.
holding. There's holding on almost every play in the NFL, and that's just the way it kind of goes. But like,
Yeah.
do you want these guys to call it or not?
Yeah.
Do you want like, because doing something that's not like against the rules isn't putting like the game in your hands. It's calling the game for what the teams are doing. And I get it. It's boring and it's not fun. And
Yeah,
then
nobody
and
wants
then,
to see the Super Bowl end like that.
well, and that's the thing
Nobody
too,
does.
right? Like the game goes from that's going to be fourth down. The Chiefs kick it and give the ball back to the Eagles with a minute or so left. Now the Eagles have a couple of chances to try and go down the field. That's way more of an exciting ending. Instead, the Chiefs get the ball. Now it's first down. They can run out the clock. They're taking knees. They wait to kick a field goal. That's not as fun, but that's just time-based sports. That's just time-based sports. You know what's the least fun thing in the NBA? When your team's down by 6 with 3 minutes or 2 minutes left. Right? Because now you either A,
Hate
start
it.
hucking up threes, and they're not quality shots, and then you're fouling, and now that lead goes to 8. Then you huck up a 3, maybe you hit it, now you're 5, and it's a stupid cycle, and fouls start happening, and fouls start happening. You know why? Because it's a time-based sport. That's just the way time-based sports go. Because you want to have a higher score than the other team by the time that clock hits 0, or if it's counting up and whatever sports do that. Like, that's how it goes, and it's dumb, and they don't line up for good endings. Why do you think some endings like the Music City Miracle and the Minnesota Miracle are so iconic? Because they actually end the game. That doesn't happen. That doesn't
Yeah.
happen. So that's just kind of the way it goes. I know people are upset about it. It doesn't make for good TV. Doesn't make for entertaining TV. But it's the way it should be. Like, you call the game till the final whistle, whether it was an egregious foul or not. You do it.
Yeah, and it sucks, but what can you do? Uh,
Yeah.
you're gonna
Well,
deal with it.
what can Eagles do? Be better and not have to rely on getting a stop on their goal line with a minute 20 left. The Chiefs got the ball
Yeah,
that
like
drive with 5 minutes left. Make a stop.
there's plenty of other things that can be done to avoid that.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a whole
don't put it
game.
all on one holding play.
The
So
Eagles kicked 2 field goals in their last three scores. You get a touchdown there, that field goal doesn't matter. So there's things, and
mm,
that's just kind of the way the game goes. It was a great
it
game.
is what it is.
It,
It
was
was. It was a great Super Bowl as well, and I was saying it even before like the game even started, like just with like the graphics and the what was shown on TV, like it just had a good vibe to it, and it was pretty sick. The commercials were pretty good for the most part. We had a couple bangers. We didn't have like the super
commercials
bad
haven't
sad
been.
ones.
Yeah, that's good. That was a nice highlight.
Yeah,
The
so like
commercials
they
haven't
were
been great
okay.
in a
Yeah,
couple
they were
years now.
okay, and being okay is great.
Honestly, pretty good. Yeah, it's honestly pretty
Yeah,
good.
like I wasn't mad at it, but we do have a loser on the night. I gotta say that we do have a loser, and that's everybody that was watching, everybody that was watching, because we were all there a little bit for the Super Bowl, but we were there for halftime for Riri, and then she comes out and she's pregnant
Unlucky
again.
again. Another one.
So
Another.
we're losers. We're losers. It sucks. I
It
hate
does
it.
suck. The performance was
But
pretty good. It wasn't
but
all
after
time
we
great,
got
but it was pretty good.
yeah, it was I enjoyed it. The stage and like the what they did with it was awesome. Show was great. Riri's awesome. So really,
Yeah,
really cool stuff.
you
But
forget how many bangers she has. I think one pretty cool thing is that in the last couple of years, the Super Bowl performers outside of the Coldplay one, I don't even remember that when that was, but outside the Coldplay one, they've been bringing guests along to sing, right? And Beyonce and Bruno Mars and whoever else there might have been, they bring people out for a song or two. She didn't do that, and it's kind of a testament to the artist when they don't have to do that, because Rihanna was in her bag and probably could have done another two, three, four more songs that like all would have resonated pretty well. But she did her biggest hits, and I think it was like 7 or 8 songs, and she ends with Diamonds,
something like that.
and it's like
That was great.
one of the coolest shots I've seen in a while, where she's on the platform in the air, all the lights are behind her. It felt like the picture that you expect when you're the singer at a concert, and that's everybody with their phones out. Like that's what it felt like. I felt like I was on stage performing in front of people. It was an amazing shot. It
And
was a
and
cool
uh,
show too.
and to be honest, visually, I do think this is up there with one of the greatest halftime performances of all time.
And yeah,
Visually.
I mean, I think shot wise, maybe they didn't do a whole lot. Katy Perry came out in like a mechanical lion. That was wild. And
No, she didn't definitely didn't do a lot, and whether that was because she was pregnant and limited to like movement, okay. But I mean, the stage was insane. Like you got what was it, 7 floating platforms going up and down. Got her coming down, fireworks going up the top, and it was cool just to see her.
yeah,
Like we were sitting there waiting for like all the lights come on, and we think Kanye's about to come out, and we're like,
don't bring Kanye out. Don't do it.
oh,
Don't do it.
wait a minute now.
I did think Jay Z was gonna come out for a second because she did run this town, and then like right after was Umbrella. I'm like,
Yeah,
bro, how do you not have Jay Z here for that?
yeah,
Hit him with
Jay
the
Z.
quick one too.
We thought Drizzy was about to come out, and it was definitely cool to see a solo performance in the Super Bowl because I don't even remember the last time that we had a solo
I think
one.
it was probably Coldplay. It was probably Coldplay.
Coldplay.
I
Did
don't
they
even
not
remember
bring
if
anybody else?
I don't remember. For somebody who likes to do the halftime performances, I don't even remember them that often.
No, like you have them happen, and then it's kind of just like okay, that that's really it. Like last year was very memorable
Did the
just
weekend
because of
have
like
one?
in Tampa. Yeah, he was great.
No, but
That was really good.
did he have a guest?
Did he have a guest? No, he
Because
didn't.
he was fantastic.
He didn't.
He
I
was
don't think
fantastic.
he
He went
did.
through the maze. He was lost. We had the memes about him getting lost in the maze for a little bit.
That was great. They did like the city
Yeah.
on the
You know,
concourse
that
back
show is
there.
better. I'll say that. That show is better.
No. Again, there's definitely better shows, but
I'm going to go watch that
visually,
after this.
yeah, it was really cool. So
It
I'm here
definitely
for it.
was. It definitely was. But it was a great season. Patrick Mahomes is the first quarterback in the century to win MVP and Super Bowl MVP in the same year. His second Super Bowl, his second MVP, his second Super Bowl MVP, 5,000 yard season. He broke the all time yards record, total yards record. This season, and we might have to look back on it, it's something that we'll talk about in the future, might be the single best quarterback season of all time. You lose your number one receiver
This
because the
season,
context. Yeah. You lose your number one receiver, who turns out to be the second best receiver in the sport, by the way.
crazy.
You lose him. Then you have the most total yards in a single season in NFL history. You win MVP. You have a 14-3 team, which obviously is a team stat, but still, you have a 14-3 team. You win 3 games in the playoffs. You win Super Bowl MVP. You win the Super Bowl. What did he do wrong? Like what went wrong in this season? Nothing. Just, I guess the turnovers, but did he even have any in the playoffs? Did he even have a pick in the playoffs? I don't know. I don't even think he did.
I don't. Trying to look it up right now.
Listen to this. 5,200 throwing yards, 41 touchdowns, 77.6 QBR.
Sheesh.
Pretty ridiculous line from Patty. So, shout out. He did not throw an interception. 7 touchdowns, no picks in the playoffs. This might be this might be one of the best quarterback seasons of all time. It might be. It's definitely in the mix, and the accolades all prove it. Patrick Mahomes is in his 5th year, just finished his 5th year. He's already a Hall of Famer, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He could retire tomorrow if he wanted to. He's a Hall of Famer already. Pretty wild. And we've said it for a couple of years. He's the best quarterback we've ever seen. Talent, physical, the attributes, right? And he's like on a trajectory to be in a genuine argument with Tom Brady. Because if he wins 5 and loses 1, what's the difference between winning 5, losing 1, and winning 7, losing 2? Like, it's kind of
3.
right.
But yeah.
Tom lost 3?
Yeah.
Oh, he
Two
did.
to
To Nick
Giants,
Foles. He
one
did.
to the
Yeah,
Eagles.
to Nick Foles.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference? 5-1, 7-3. Like, there's a difference. Obviously, 2 Super Bowl dubs, but like,
Yeah. Like getting there a lot is a feat in itself that is very hard to match, and that speaks to greatness itself. But if we're going straight just like talent, when it's all said and done, if he keeps on this path, it's going to be hard to say.
How many more you think he needs to win to like have the true argument? Because we can say right now definitively, I can say this without a hesitation, that Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Tom Brady ever was in terms of actual quarterback.
Right now. Championships, I think like you get 4, and then we could start having
With
a
the GOAT talk.
conversation with the GOAT talk.
Yeah.
Because again, like I'm not gonna say, oh, you don't have more rings than him, so you're not the GOAT. No, because
stupid. Nobody's ever gonna break 7. Nobody's ever gonna break 7.
I'm taking LeBron over Jordan all the time, and he doesn't have more. And again, I'll always bring up this conversation when we talk about rings. MJ's not the GOAT then.
Tim Duncan's
He's
better
not.
than Bill Russell, I promise.
It's Bill Russell. So don't talk to me about rings.
I promise.
Don't talk to me about rings.
Yeah.
Then Yogi Berra's the best baseball player ever. He's not.
Do you have the
I
most?
love Yogi. He has like 11 rings. No, he has.
He's like 13.
Hold on,
he has like 13.
I think he has 13. Hold on.
I think he has 13. I think he has 13. Because Yogi played with the Mickey teams, if I'm not mistaken. And then he was also on like the later era. Oh my God. I need to know those. How many does Yogi have?
So Berra appeared in 21 World Series as a player, coach, and manager. He won 10 World Series rings as a player, and give me the rings. Give me all the
That's
rings.
insane. That's insane.
21 World
We
Series.
don't talk enough about Yogi Berra as a
13 in
society.
total. Yeah,
So
we
look at
don't.
wait, hey, look at us with the
We don't.
13. Look at us with the
Yeah,
13. Come
we
on
don't.
now.
But again, like if all we're gonna talk about is rings
Who
to be the
cares?
GOAT, who
Stupid.
cares?
Stupid.
No, go off the talent. And right now,
It's a little
talent
different in
wise, and
football
what
too, but
it's different in football, but what is this? Year 5, year 6
5
for Patty? Year 5. We've been
as a
talking about
starter.
he's the GOAT since like year 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since
Yeah.
year 2.
Yeah.
So
That year 2 Super Bowl run was like special.
insane.
That was
So for us to sit here right now and even put him in the conversation with Brady, it's understandable. And he's the best quarterback in the league right now.
yeah.
Just no doubt about that.
Yeah,
So
you know what's an interesting thing about Pat too that Brady never fully had. Maybe he did. Maybe I was a little too young to actually know, but pretty sure Brady was never definitively the best quarterback in the league by like a sizable gap. There was years he was the best, but you know, you had Peyton who was balling. He got a couple MVPs in there. You had obviously Brett Favre who was balling. Drew Brees was balling during this Brady
there's a
era.
lot.
Aaron
There's
Rodgers
a lot
wound
of
up coming
people.
onto the scene, balling. Matt Ryan won an MVP. Cam Newton won an MVP, and MVPs don't really count. Obviously, like people are gonna win MVP while you're still the best. That's just how that goes. But there were guys who were challenging Brady, and you could have been like, this season he's better than Brady. There's
Yeah.
yet to be a guy that's been better than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick's been the best quarterback since his second year in the league by a pretty sizable margin. I know Aaron Rodgers won back-to-back MVPs, but were you seriously going to stand there and tell me that he was better than Mahomes? Like you'd rather have him over Mahomes? No. Nobody was going to tell you that. Nobody was. That's no disrespect to Aaron Rodgers, who's somebody I love to disrespect. In fact, this is me praising Aaron Rodgers for the first time in my life. Like,
Somebody clip it. This is
no,
unheard of.
nah, I'm good. But you know, shout out to Mahomes. All the accolades. He's a beast. He's amazing, and I hope he gets another one or two. People are gonna be tired of the Chiefs. People are really gonna root against the Chiefs now. I don't see why. I don't get it. I know people hate success, but the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, and here's my closing thoughts. I've been rambling a little bit, but here's my closing thoughts. The Chiefs winning the Super Bowl is Andy Reid's greatest success. This
Yeah.
Super Bowl is,
It's all of them. All of
yeah,
them.
I mean, this is the worst version of the Chiefs we've seen. Like, this is the least vertical offense they've ever had and the least vertical threats. The only true threat throwing the ball they had is Travis Kelce. And they dominated and they won a Super Bowl.
And I don't know if it was Pat or Trav or even both of them combined saying this like in the post game pressers and all that. But this one was a lot more special to them because yeah, they won it and it felt good for the first championship, but this one, like after everything they've been through, injuries and the failures and just losing Tariq and this and that and everything that went into it, to come out on top, that that was special. So that this season itself is wild for the Chiefs, and also heard somebody say this is a dynasty defining moment
Yep.
for Mahomes, and it absolutely is.
Yeah, he said it's not a dynasty yet. I agree. They need to win another one. But if they win one
Yeah,
more, it's a dynasty. It kind of already feels like it is. It's
yeah,
so hard to get back to the Super Bowl. To go to 3 out of 4 Super Bowls is probably the hardest thing to do in sports because football is so random and keeping teams together is so random. And your team might be great. And the issue with being great in a sport is like oh, we had a great defense. Bet that defensive line or that defensive coach probably gone. He's probably gonna go be a head coach somewhere else. So keeping coaching and keeping things the same is really difficult year to year in this sport in particular. And so to do it 3 out of 4 is impressive.
Shout out to the Chiefs.
Shout out to the Chiefs. But yeah, guess what? Football's over. It's my favorite time of the year now. Baseball season is coming up. Pitchers and catchers are reporting on Wednesday, tomorrow or Wednesday. I don't know. One of the two. I think it's the 15th. We also got the MLB to show tech test. Shout out.
Shout out.
Baseball is just it's all happening. I'm so excited. And that's my favorite part of the year. So we're gonna get into baseball. Obviously, we got the last part of the NBA season we're going to go ahead and cover. The All-Star game's around the corner. Jalen Brunson better be there. That's all I got to say. We didn't talk about any of the trades that happened. We should probably talk about that next week, realistically. We'll go really into the NBA next week and get that in there. But KD's gone, and Ding Dong, the witch is dead. He is somehow on a team that I hate more than the Nets. That's not true. But it's really close. KD was like, how do I make Julian in particular hate me equally? Let's go to a team with Devin Booker and Chris Paul. Oh my god. Oh my god. Sorry for your loss, bro. It's crazy.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It's not. It doesn't happen. It's never happened. But it is what it is.
It doesn't happen, and we'll get into it
We'll get into it
next week.
We'll get into it next
we'll get into it next week, but just for the quick statement, I got it all out during the off season when everything was speculating and brewing during that time. So like I was pretty much just numb this time around. Like, to be honest. Yeah, that's really what it was. It was just like, oh, it happened. Cool. Whatever. Yeah. So it is what it is. We move
all right,
on.
guys.
We
we move on. Thank you guys for listening.
Cut me off.
Yeah, I got you, bro.
I'm gonna keep on going.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening and watching. We appreciate you guys so much. We'll see you next week for episode 175. Kind of a cool little milestone episode right there. We'll be back on Monday. We'll be talking NBA, we'll be talking MLB, and it's nice to switch it up. I can't wait to see you guys then. Have a good one, everybody. Peace.
Later.